What's going on, everybody? It's your truck driver Rodrigo, and I am back with another video for you today. This video is going to be about the problems that I have encountered with Schneider so far in my first month of employment. So I have a list right here. I wrote everything down just so I don't jump around and stuff like that. Not that it's a lot, it's just a lot of detail to it. And I just want to put a disclaimer as well. As y'all know, I am about providing strictly facts. I'm going to leave my opinion out of it. I'm just going to explain the problems that I have encountered and if they've been resolved or not, and how they've been resolved, if they haven't been resolved, if there's a sort of a resolution plan in mind or set. I'm not going to list things that are out of Schneider's control. An example, traffic. A customer live load or live unload taking too long. Those things are out of Schneider's control. They cannot control things like that. We cannot control things like that. So I won't be listing stuff like that. And I think that's going to happen no matter where you go. Just those things. First things first, I started the week before Thanksgiving. So it wasn't like that Monday. It was the week of 11/15, but I didn't start that Monday. I started Wednesday or Thursday. It was kind of in the middle of the week. First problem I encountered was the truck, which is the truck I'm currently in now. I'll post a picture of the day I first got it. The truck smelled like cigarettes. And I don't smoke. Nobody in my family smokes. I am not exposed to any sort of smoking. I've never been really my whole life, unless of course I have a family member who smokes, but I don't live in a house that there's smoke all the time. But I had remembered that the reason it took so long for me to receive my truck was because they were saying, we had a truck of mine, but we came across some maintenance problems, so we have this other truck, but we ran into some problems with that truck, and it's going to be a little bit. They didn't tell me what the problems were. They just told me they ran into some problems. So when I got to the OC in Shrewsbury, I had asked, what were the problems that, you ran into with the truck? And they really couldn't give me a straight answer. But the only reason I was asking that was kind of so if it was like some sort of maintenance problem or something, I could keep an eye on it, on my pre-trip and make sure, hey, make sure that this problem has gone away or it's not going to reoccur, or, just have kind of an open mind to look out for that specifically. Because if it was a problem once, I just personally feel, it could be again, or, start to, or affect other things. Got the truck, and as soon as he opened the door, he being my DPO, it smacked me in the face. Smacked me. And it just smelled like smoke. There's cigarette burns even on the floor that I could show you. There's cigarette burns up where you might put a microwave. And I was like, okay. He's like, we tried to air it out. You can put the windows down, but go ahead and move yourself in. So I put the windows down. I was like, yeah, this smells like smoke. And the only way that I could describe it is when my dad would go to the bar, they allowed smoking at that time indoors, and he would come home just smelling like pure cigarette. It was just a horrible smell. So, okay, whatever. I put the windows down, went inside. We finished our little, welcome to Schneider. This is the account you're doing. Here are the biggest things that we care about. Blah, 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 blah. Then he said, I'm going to give you your first assignment. He said, here's your assignment. Set it to my tablet. It was just a relay. So I went to go pick up the relay. And it turns out that the landing gear crank handle was actually broke. So I had to wait on maintenance. And I waited about 30 minutes. They had to drill out the nut, blah, blah, blah. And while I'm waiting there, I had the windows down, open. Give me 1 second. So I had the windows rolled down. I'm waiting, maintenance working on the trailer. And I started to get this headache. Like, really bad headache. But, prepared. So I'm like, let me take some medicine. So I took, I don't know what I took. Just pain reliever for, cramps, headaches, fever, blah, 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 blah. Before I left, one of the maintenance guys that came out, he's like, oh, you're the one that got this truck? I'm like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, I feel really bad for you. He's like, that smells really bad. He goes, and I smoke cigarettes, and I can't stand being in there. And I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to give you a positive attitude. I'm like, do you have any, air fresheners or anything like that? He's like, oh, I have one of those, smoke bomb things. You know, one of those things you set in the middle and just fumigates for like 10 minutes and you leave everything open. So he actually brought me out too. And I had actually set one of those off while I was waiting for the trailer. So, you know, I followed the instructions, you know, run the AC cycle, put it in the middle of the car, let it run for 10 minutes. So, you know, I closed, ran the AC cycle, let it run for 10 minutes. It ran through, and then it said go back in, turn the vehicle off, and, you know, open the windows. So I did that, and it said do that for 15 minutes. All it did was smell like cigarettes, and now very strong smoke bomb air freshener. So, okay, continue on our day, keep going, and this headache would not go away. I didn't want to take any more medicine because you may or may not know, but I remember in CDO school you can't start certain medications, certain, you know, things. So I had already taken 2, so I didn't take any more medicine. I was just like, I'm not sure if that's safe at this point, and so I'm just gonna, you know, ride it out. Maybe I just need to eat. I went ahead and ate something, drank some water, whatever. Fast forward throughout the end of the day, I got a fuel stop. So I went to the fuel stop, and by that time of the day, and mind you, I was driving around with the windows open. Not all the way open, but cracked open to try and help circulate that air. Thank you. Have a good day. So I was driving around with the windows open, just trying to get, you know, the air circulated. By the time I made it to the fuel stop, y'all, I was nauseous. I thought I was going to really throw up. I felt very, 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 very sick. I felt nauseous. I was shaky. I felt horrible. And like I said, I ate, I drank some water, I took some medicine, and I just felt horrible. I got out the truck to fuel, and I felt so weak. I felt horrible. You know, I went inside the fuel stop, you know, got something to drink. I was like, maybe, you know, I just maybe need a little caffeine, some sugar or something. I haven't had any sugar, you know, something to just, I don't know, maybe calories, something. Long story short, by the time I got back to the OC, thankfully, the way I got to the OC was a rental car, and I did not have to return it to the next day. That night, I got in the rental car, and I actually just, you know, GPS'd it from the OC to my house, and it was about like an hour and 10 minutes. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna take a warm shower, and I'm gonna lay in my bed. Once I got home, I still had this headache. I didn't feel nauseous anymore now that I was out the truck, but I took some more medicine, and I went to sleep. The next day, you know, I woke up early to get to the OC early because I didn't know what they were expecting of me, start time wise, you know, and if they wanted to see me or not. So sorry, I'm just leaving the customer right now. So I just want to make sure, you know, the doors are open. I have to pull completely out, kind of like in a garage setting. I have to pull out to close the doors. I just don't like to go too fast. When I look, I don't want everything to come flying out. That morning, I actually went in to do my DVO, and I was like, you know, I'm very, very, very sorry, but there is no way that I can drive that truck. I know you worked so hard to get me a truck, and, you know, you waited so long, we had this whole issue, but it's so bad to the point that I got nauseous. He apologized profusely. My DVO, he's a really nice guy. He felt horrible, and at the end of the day, that's not personally his fault. He wasn't the one who smoked in the truck, so he did apologize profusely. And, you know, he told me just to give him a few minutes, and he would figure out a situation. So what ended up happening is they gave me a loaner truck that they use for like somebody's
street in 1,000 feet.
So like just a loaner truck. Somebody was, you know, somebody's truck was in maintenance and they needed to continue their route. Just a loaner truck. So they gave me the loaner truck, and I used that for about a week. And then it turns out they like deep cleaned the truck. They, you know, put like this ozone thing in it. It takes like all the contaminants, bacteria, and then they actually used the maintenance guy told me they used cleaning stuff that they actually use in pools, like chlorine and just a little bit, but like I said, I don't think it's ever gonna lose that smell for a while until it kind of gains my new smell. But it didn't make me sick, didn't give me a headache. That was my biggest thing, is if it would have gave me a headache, I would have been like, oh man, you know. But I didn't get a headache, and I also think that I was just kind of like, not traumatized is the wrong word, but kind of like anticipating. So because I was anticipating just the smell, like it started to like, I feel like I made myself sick because I was just like, you know, it's like, oh man, you know, I'm so scared to feel this way. Because when I tell you I did not feel good, I did not feel good. I did not feel good. So I feel like I you know, gave a lot of pressure and anticipation on myself. But I didn't get a headache. Everything was all right. They fixed that within the week. But I did get the truck once I had it back and everything was okay. Now that I know, you know, I'm not going to be moving around, I can actually start investing into things for my truck, like a microwave, you know, something. So I did ask them, you know, there are outlets on the truck. Do they work? And can I use them? They say, yep, you can definitely use the outlet. They work. Just whatever you plug in, unplug at night. Don't leave it plugged in all night, and then you'll be all good. I bought an air fryer. I bought like a little tea kettle thing to boil water. The outlets do not work. So I say, okay, you know, maybe it's something. You know, every truck is different. Let me see if they only work when the truck is off. Turn the truck off. Plugged it in. No, okay. Maybe it's just this outlet. So I moved everything around. I plugged into a different outlet. Did not work. It's okay, maybe the truck is on. So, you know, I tried all the possible scenarios. I checked the inverter. I actually ended up testing my father. I said, hey, do you know any reason why an inverter would not work? Is there a certain thing I have to do? So I ended up sending him a picture, and he said, you know, there should be an on and off button. If not, it should be, you know, directly connected, wired into the truck, and it should just work when the truck's on. So I said, well, you know, it doesn't work when the truck's on. He's like, well, there's got to be an on and off button. And, you know, why don't you try, you know, you say, well, why don't you hit the reset button? You know, if it pops, try plugging something in there. And then last minute, or last resource, why don't you try plugging in something directly into the inverter? You plug something into the inverter, it works, you know there's power. If not, then you know there's clearly something wrong. So I looked for the power button, I pressed the buttons, nothing worked. I plugged directly into the inverter, nothing worked. So I was like, you know, this is not working, and that kind of stinks. And it stayed like that for a little bit. I got my inverter fixed on 12/9, which was last Thursday. So for the whole time of me starting on the week of 11/15, I have not had outlets that worked. I did mention it, not right away because I was trying to figure it out. Probably mentioned it maybe, I'd say the week after. So I waited 1 week with the truck. So then I mentioned it and nothing really happened. And then just last week I had mentioned it on Tuesday. That video I posted, I mentioned it that day while I was on the phone. I said, hey, look, my outlets aren't working and I haven't been able to have like warm food. Like if I want food, it has to be, you know, cold food or like snacks, or I have to go ahead and spend my money and get food out, and I don't want to do that. So with that Tuesday, he had me brought in on Thursday, which was 12/9, which is when the outlets were fixed. So they fixed, they do work, so we're all set there. The third problem I had is my tablet. So my tablet is essentially how I complete all of my work. It's my navigation. It gives me my current assignments that dispatch has given to me. Gives me, you know, all the notes on that assignment, and all the tasks within that assignment. For example, a task is like, okay, have you arrived at the stop? That's task 1. You hit complete. Did you, you know, get loaded? Hit complete. Did you get unloaded? Hit complete. Did you drop this load and pick up an empty? Hit complete. So those are kind of like steps within that assignment. So that's kind of steps within that assignment. The first problem I was having is we have a navigation app, kind of like a maps, and it pulls addresses or locations from your current assignment. So for example, if I took one assignment that said go to, you know, Massachusetts, then New York, then back to Massachusetts, if I go into my navigation app, it's going to have those 3 stops. And then if I get once I complete that assignment, I get a new one that says, okay, go to Connecticut, then New Hampshire, then back to Massachusetts. When I go into my navigation, it's supposed to update with those 3 stops. So I could just, you know, hey, let me go into my navigation, select this address, go. It was not updating with my current assignment. So it just wouldn't, so like my first assignment that I ever got, it wouldn't populate into my navigation. So I had to manually put in that address or that address code or that location ID. And I thought, you know, maybe it's just because, you know, it's new, whatever. And then what was happening is it was always delayed by either 1 assignment or 2 assignments. So if, you know, on my 3rd assignment, I would go into the navigation to see if it would update and say, oh, you know, dispatch, blah, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 has been updated. I'd be like, okay, cool, you know, it's working. I'd click on it and it would be my assignment from 2 assignments ago. So it wasn't even relevant. So I would constantly have to do this. And I thought, you know, maybe, you know, that's just a one-off thing. Next thing is that it wasn't reporting messages. So by that, I mean, you know, our DBL or Schneider themselves will send us messages. And for example, my DBL sent a message saying, hey, you know, when you complete this task tonight, Tuesday morning, I need you to report to XYZ. Or I need you to do this, or, you know, have you done this? And it wasn't telling me that I was getting messages. So my DBL would contact me and be like, hey, did you get my message? I'd be like, no. So I'd have to go in and look at it and be like, oh yeah, it's here. It just didn't tell me that I got this message. Or it wouldn't populate at all, and I'd have to refresh, and then eventually it would come in. And then the other thing, along with it not reporting messages, is it's not reporting new assignments. So when we get a new assignment or a change is made to our assignment, the tablet should speak and say, you know, you've received a pre-assignment going from Boston, Massachusetts to Boston, Massachusetts. And hey, a change has been made to your active work assignment. Please review your active work assignment to review this change. So that was not happening. Not a big deal. I mean, when you go in to complete your task, you're going to see it's there. It just wasn't warning you. The problem that came in with that is at one point when I was in New York, a change was made to my assignment. So, you know, I was already there, so it popped up the message for me. It didn't tell me, but it said, hey, you know, an update was made to the active work assignment. Click here to review this change. So I clicked it, and nothing populated. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I refreshed, closed down the app, went back in, checked my active work assignment. Nothing was changed. I checked my pre-assignment, you know, for my next assignment. Nothing was changed. I was like, oh, maybe it was just a little mess up, or maybe they revoked a minor detail, like maybe they changed the bill of lading number, or they changed the empty I'm going to be picking up something. You know, I didn't pay no mind. I went on my merry way to my final destination in Massachusetts. When I got there, I went to complete that I had arrived, and this fuel stop had populated. And it said, did you get fuel? And I am beside myself because no, I did not. No, I didn't, because I didn't know I was supposed to, and you didn't tell me I was supposed to. So there was that. And the only issue with that is as a Schneider driver, you have metrics that you get scored on. Fuel compliance is one of those metrics, and it sounds exactly like what it is. It's fuel compliance. Do you comply with, you know, what Schneider's telling you, where Schneider's telling you to fuel? Are you fueling how much Schneider's telling you to fuel? Because it affects the company's bottom line. So they are the ones that tell you where to fuel and how much, because they kind of plan out, you know, the best prices, the best deals, all that stuff. So, you know, if they tell you to go to a fuel lightning bolt? And I was like, yeah. She's like, so it's charging. And I was like, ma'am, I understand. Yeah, there's a lightning bolt, right? It's the power's there. It's working. But the battery is continuing to drain. So like it's on 70 and I plug it in and it goes, ooh, power, charge, juice. And then it goes down to 65 and then 60 and then 55 and then 50. And it just keeps going. Yet again, she said, oh, I ran the diagnostic. I don't understand this, blah, blah, blah. I took notes. You have problems, call us back. Whatever. So I told my GP, I'm like, yeah, that didn't really do anything for me. They just took notes and basically told me to go on my merry way. That was, say, the first week of December. It was a Wednesday. So the next week, the following week, I came into work and I put my GPS on. I run a dedicated account. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do the same thing all the time. I go to the same location to pick up, and I go to the same location to drop off, and the same location to come back into Massachusetts to drop off. It is the same thing. The only thing that changes is where I pick up, but they're within 5-10 minutes of each other, so I already know the way to get there. It's the same thing. I always put my navigation on, just in case, I read something wrong and I think, oh, hey, I'm supposed to be going here today, and the navigation tells me something else. At that point, I would catch it. I always have that backup. So, I was getting ready to go for the day, put my navigation on, and, Jill, navigation, has me located like a block away from where I'm at. I'm like, okay, once I start driving, she's gonna figure out where I'm at. Get back home. So I'm driving, she's over here talking about reroute, out of route, location, something, you're wrong, you're going the wrong way, turn around. I'm like, Jill, will you relax? So, I shut her up and I restarted her when I got to a stoplight. I say, we're gonna stop. Because you don't ever hit reroute on these GPSs. Because if you hit reroute, it's just going to give you the nearest way to turn around that's not specific for your truck and your truck's details, height, weight, whatever. So I'm like, okay, went back to the home, closed that app, restarted. Yet again, before she even out of route, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start driving, she's going to figure out where I'm at. Out of route, turn around, wrong way. I'm like, okay, enough. So I shut her down, and I'm like, I know where I'm going, whatever. So I get to my destination. I'm like, okay, let's again, and I was like, I need a new tablet. Like, can't you help me? And they're like, oh, no, we don't do that. I'm like, so who does that? And they just looked at me like, so long story short, I have the same tablet. I've just kind of, it's still got problems, just kind of been proactive about it, and the minute it gives me some sort of, just a hint of something wrong, I shut it down and I leave it like that. And you know, that's cool, but to me, that's, you know, I can't even say that, that's an opinion at that point. But yeah, so those are the problems that I've had with Schneider so far. My truck has been fixed, my outlets were taken care of, the tablet has not been taken care of, and I don't know if there's a resolution in plan. I was just kind of like, we can't help you. So, like I said, I'm proactive about it. I kind of shut it down, I restarted it, you know, kind of do that so I don't have too many issues. The navigation doesn't always update with my current thing, so it's still behind, but at this point, it's like whatever. So I don't know if there's ever going to be a resolution for that. I just think it kind of is what it is. What I want to know is your guys' opinion. What would you do in my situation? What would you know, what would you do? Would you say? Would you leave? Would you stay? Kind of give me advice on the situation so I can kind of know what to do, because I'm not somebody who likes to jump from job to job, and I don't think I have a bad gig, but I don't know what to do. So yeah, go ahead and let me know. As always, guys, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you did not like the video, give me a thumbs down, but go ahead and comment on why you didn't like the video. Critique me. I want to improve, and I want to be able to make videos for you guys. It's going to help you. If these videos don't help, I need to know. So we can only be good together. Just remember, guys, one goal, one passion, and that's trucking. Rodrigo out. Stay safe and good